Imagine stepping off a plane in a foreign country with just $100 in your pocket. What could you do? How far could it really take you? For most people, $100 barely scratches the surface of a single vacation. But what if I told you that, in some corners of the world, that same $100 could last you days, even a week, and unlock experiences most travelers only dream about? Over the past month, I decided to test this for myself. I traveled on a tight budget, exploring cities, villages, and hidden gems where money stretches in ways that will completely change how you think about travel. From street food feasts that would normally cost a fortune, to local experiences that money can't normally buy, I discovered that $100 is not just a number, it's a ticket to immersion, adventure, and learning the real heartbeat of a place. But it's not just about saving money. Traveling with limited funds forces you to slow down, connect with locals, and experience the world in a way luxury travelers often miss. Every dollar becomes intentional. Every meal, every ride, every interaction matters. In this video, I'm revealing exactly what $100 can get you in different countries, the tricks to make it last, and the mind-blowing experiences you can enjoy, all without breaking the bank. So, here's the deal. The $100 challenge explained. When I first told friends I was traveling the world with just $100, most of them laughed, or looked at me like I had lost my mind. You can't even get a weekend hotel in most countries for that, they said. But that's exactly what made this challenge so exciting. It wasn't about being cheap, it was about testing how far a modest amount of money could truly take you, and discovering the kind of experiences that are impossible to buy with a credit card. The rules were simple. $100 had to cover everything: food, transportation, lodging, and small adventures for an entire leg of my trip. No sneaky hacks like asking friends for help. No pre-booked luxury deals. It was raw, real, and completely immersive. Every dollar counted and every decision mattered. Right away, the challenge changed the way I saw the world. I became hyper-aware of costs, but in a way that was empowering rather than stressful. A $1 bus ride suddenly felt like a tiny victory. A $5 street food feast became a full cultural experience, and even finding a safe, cheap place to sleep felt like an accomplishment. But the most surprising part wasn't the money, it was the freedom. Having a tight budget forced me to slow down, interact with locals, and make choices I wouldn't have considered if money wasn't a factor. I discovered hidden alleyways, tucked-away markets, and small cafes that tourists often overlook. The $100 challenge wasn't about deprivation. It was about seeing the world through a sharper, more intentional lens. By the end of the day, I realized something profound. $100 isn't a limitation. It's a doorway. It's a lens for adventure, creativity, and authentic experience. And as I traveled from city to city, I learned that sometimes less money actually means more life. One of the most eye-opening parts of the $100 challenge was realizing that in some countries, your money doesn't just stretch, it practically multiplies. Places exist where $100 can cover multiple days of living, and yet most travelers overlook them because they're not flashy, Instagram-famous destinations. Take Southeast Asia, for example. In countries like Vietnam or Cambodia, $100 can get you a week of street food, a cozy guest house, and local transportation, with a little left over for adventure. You can spend mornings walking along riverside markets, afternoons exploring ancient temples, and evenings sampling dishes you've never even heard of, all without worrying about the price. It feels like suddenly the world is your playground, and every small purchase unlocks a new experience. Then there are hidden gems in Eastern Europe, like Romania or Bulgaria. Here, $100 can cover public transport, homey accommodations, and authentic meals in quaint local cafes. You can wander cobblestone streets, meet friendly locals, and dive into cultural traditions that are completely untouched by mass tourism. The value of your money amplifies your ability to experience life fully. Food, history, nature, and art all become accessible in a way that feels luxurious without breaking the bank. Even in parts of South America, like Bolivia or Ecuador, $100 can carry you far. Bus rides through breathtaking landscapes, local dishes that are hearty and cheap, and small homestays where you feel like part of the community. Every dollar is optimized and every experience feels rich in meaning. The takeaway? Traveling isn't about how much you spend, it's about where and how you spend it. In some corners of the world, $100 isn't just money. It's freedom. It's adventure. It's the chance to truly immerse yourself, to live like a local, and to discover that the richness of a place isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in experiences. One of the most surprising and honestly delicious discoveries of the $100 challenge was the power of street food. In many countries, you really don't need a fancy restaurant to experience authentic cuisine. For just a few dollars, you can feast like a local for days, and every bite becomes a window into the culture, history, and rhythm of a place. In Vietnam, for example, a bowl of pho or a banh mi sandwich can cost less than $2. For breakfast, you can grab a steaming bowl of noodles from a street vendor. For lunch, a crispy fried spring roll, and for dinner, a fresh seafood skewer with a cold local drink. Do the math, and suddenly your $100 can feed you for an entire week. And it's not just filling, it's honestly unforgettable. Each meal is handcrafted, fresh, and bursting with flavors you'll never find in a packaged or chain restaurant. But street food is more than just cheap meals. It's an experience. Vendors often prepare everything right in front of you, giving you a chance to observe their techniques, ask questions, and even learn a few cooking secrets. You interact with locals over tiny tables, exchange smiles, and feel like part of the community. Eating becomes a cultural immersion rather than just a necessity. In Cambodia, Thailand, and parts of South America, street food is even more generous. For $5 a day, you can try multiple dishes, from spicy soups and fried noodles to fresh fruit shakes and sweet pastries. Every dollar spent is a taste of the local life, a mini adventure for your senses. By the end of the week, I realized street food isn't just cheap, it's honestly transformative. It turns a modest budget into a rich, full-bodied experience. In this way, $100 doesn't limit you. It teaches you to eat, explore, and live like a local. One of the most magical parts of traveling on a $100 budget is, honestly, discovering the hidden gems that most tourists never see. When you're forced to avoid expensive attractions, fancy hotels, and overpriced tours, you're pushed into the corners of a city that are often far more authentic, vibrant, and honestly unforgettable. In Southeast Asia, for instance, skipping the big-name temples and tourist hotspots led me to tiny local markets tucked away down narrow alleyways. Here, vendors greeted me with warm smiles, kids played in the streets, and the smells of fresh herbs and sizzling snacks filled the air. I found art galleries run by locals in their own homes, gardens hidden behind unmarked doors, and tiny cafes where every dish was crafted with love. These were experiences I never would have found with a tour guide or a big budget. It took curiosity, patience, and a willingness to explore on foot. In Eastern Europe, avoiding the typical tourist traps allowed me to stumble upon medieval villages where time seemed to stand still. I walked along cobblestone streets lined with hand-painted shops, tasted pastries baked in small family-run bakeries, and listened to locals recount stories passed down through generations. These moments felt intimate and rare, like being let in on a secret the city didn't want outsiders to know. The truth is, traveling on a tight budget forces you to slow down. You can't rush through experiences. You must interact, observe, and absorb. The hidden gems you discover aren't flashy, but they are richer in meaning, culture, and memory. By the end of my journey, I realized that $100 isn't just a limit, it's a lens that reveals the soul of a place. The less money you spend, the more authentic, surprising, and honestly unforgettable your experiences become. When you're traveling on just $100, getting around efficiently and cheaply becomes one of the most important skills. And also, one of the most revealing ways to experience a place like a local. Budget transportation isn't just about saving money. It's about discovering the hidden rhythm of a city, the pulse of its people, and the small adventures that happen along the way. In many countries, public transportation is a revelation. In Vietnam, a 50-cent bus ride can take you across an entire city, while motorbike taxis weave through traffic like dancers, giving you a front-row seat to daily life. Learning the schedules, understanding the routes, and hopping on local buses suddenly turns commuting into an immersive cultural experience. Shared taxis, minibuses, and rickshaws are another secret. In Cambodia, for example, splitting a tuk-tuk with locals not only cuts costs, but also opens doors to conversation, insider tips, and unexpected stops you would never find on a map. Even walking or biking becomes an adventure. Many cities have bike-sharing programs or safe pedestrian routes that allow you to explore neighborhoods, markets, and scenic spots for almost nothing. Long-distance travel doesn't have to break the bank either. In parts of Eastern Europe or South America, overnight buses or trains are affordable, comfortable, and double as moving hostels, saving on lodging while getting you from one city to the next. The trick is flexibility and curiosity. Embrace the unexpected. Ask locals for the cheapest, safest routes. Observe the flow of traffic. Even a short ferry ride or a cable car can be both economical and unforgettable if you approach it with an adventurous mindset. By the end of the day, I realized that budget transportation is more than just a necessity. It's a key to unlocking hidden corners, meeting locals, and turning every journey into part of the adventure. With a little planning, $100 can carry you farther than you ever imagined. When traveling on a tight $100 budget, finding a place to sleep can feel like the ultimate puzzle. But it's also one of the most rewarding parts of the journey. The key isn't cutting corners, it's discovering accommodation that's affordable, authentic, and full of character. In many countries, the best stays aren't flashy hotels, they're local gems that give you a real taste of the culture. Hostels are an obvious choice, but they're more than just cheap beds. In countries like Thailand or Vietnam, hostels often have communal kitchens, social areas, and local guides who can show you hidden spots. You meet other travelers, swap stories, and sometimes even join last-minute excursions, all while sticking to your budget. Homestays are another secret weapon. In Eastern Europe or South America, families open their homes to travelers, offering cozy rooms, home-cooked meals, and the chance to experience daily life from an insider's perspective. For $15 to $20 a night, you're not just paying for a bed, you're gaining connection, conversation, and a small window into another way of life. Camping or eco-lodges are also worth considering. In parts of Southeast Asia or South America, a tent under the stars or a rustic cabin near a lake can cost just a few dollars. The experience becomes unforgettable because it combines adventure, nature, and budget-friendly living in one package. The secret to making $100 stretch? Well, honestly, it comes down to flexibility and research. Apps, local word of mouth, and early bookings can unlock hidden gems that don't appear on the usual tourist radar. Sometimes the simplest, least polished stays leave the biggest impressions. By the end of my travels, I realized that accommodation isn't just about comfort. It's a doorway to connection, culture, and discovery. With the right approach, $100 can cover more than just a bed. It can give you a home in every city you visit. One of the most powerful lessons of traveling on a $100 budget is how it naturally pushes you away from tourist traps and into the heart of local life. When every dollar counts, you start seeking authentic experiences rather than flashy attractions designed to extract money from visitors. And in doing so, you discover a richer, deeper side of every place you visit. Tourist traps are easy to spot, high-priced souvenirs, crowded streets, and staged experiences meant to impress. You pay more for less, and you rarely leave with a memory that feels genuine. On a tight budget, You simply can't afford these distractions. Instead, you wander into local markets, eat at family-run cafes, and join cultural rituals where there's no price tag attached. The difference is astonishing. In Vietnam, skipping the popular photo spots led me to a riverside market where locals bartered, laughed, and shared stories with each other. I tasted homemade delicacies, watched artisans at work, and felt like part of a community rather than a visitor. In Eastern Europe, avoiding overly commercialized attractions allowed me to stumble upon a centuries-old bakery where I learned to make traditional pastries alongside the locals. Experiences like these aren't just cheaper, they're richer, more engaging, and unforgettable. Traveling on a budget forces you to slow down, notice details, and interact with people instead of relying on guidebooks or online recommendations. Every small choice becomes an opportunity to connect, learn, and grow. By the end of the journey, I realized something profound. The real essence of a place isn't found in famous landmarks. It's found in the everyday rhythms of local life. With $100, you're not limited. You're guided to the experiences that truly define a culture. Stretching $100 with daily challenges. Traveling on a $100 budget isn't just about spending wisely. It's about turning each day into a challenge, a game that tests creativity, patience, and resourcefulness. I quickly realized that framing my journey as a series of daily challenges made every dollar feel intentional and every experience more meaningful. For example, I set a simple rule: spend no more than $10 a day on food. At first it seemed impossible. How could I eat 3 meals, enjoy snacks, and still taste the culture without overspending? But the challenge pushed me to explore street markets, tiny cafes, and local bakeries I would have otherwise ignored. Suddenly, eating became an adventure rather than a routine. I started noticing flavors, smells, and traditions that tourists often miss. Another challenge was transportation. Could I navigate a new city on $5 a day without taxis? This meant learning bus schedules, walking longer distances, or hopping on shared rides with locals. Each small triumph felt like winning a mini-adventure, and I discovered neighborhoods, hidden parks, and scenic routes I never would have seen otherwise. Even accommodation became part of the challenge. I tried hostels, homestays, and even short-term rentals where every night counted towards stretching the budget. Each option taught me a new skill: negotiating prices, connecting with hosts, or embracing minimalism. By structuring the trip as daily challenges, $100 transformed from a limitation into a source of excitement. Every decision, no matter how small, mattered. And surprisingly, these constraints didn't make the experience worse. They made it richer, more immersive, and honestly, unforgettable. The takeaway? Budget travel isn't about deprivation. It's about intentional living. Stretching $100 forces you to slow down, observe, and savor life in a way luxury travel often can't. And in the process, you discover a world full of unexpected rewards. Unexpected lessons from traveling cheap. Traveling on just $100 isn't merely an exercise in budgeting, it's a crash course in life. The limitations push you out of your comfort zone, force you to think creatively, and reveal lessons you might never learn when money cushions your every step. One of the first lessons I noticed was gratitude. When every meal, ride, or small experience matters, you begin to appreciate things that often go unnoticed. A fresh bowl of noodles, a smooth bus ride, or a friendly conversation becomes more than just routine. It becomes a moment of joy. $100 turns the ordinary into extraordinary. Another lesson is resilience. Budget travel isn't always easy. You encounter delays, miscommunications, and unexpected expenses. Yet, navigating these challenges teaches patience, problem-solving, and adaptability. Suddenly, small obstacles don't feel like setbacks. They're opportunities to learn and grow. Perhaps the most surprising lesson was about connection. Traveling cheaply forces you to interact with locals, rely on communal transport, and embrace homestays. Luxury travel often isolates you in hotels and curated experiences. On a budget, you're immersed in the daily rhythm of a place, creating authentic relationships and memories that can't be bought. Finally, I realized that less really can be more. The simplicity of traveling with limited funds sharpens your senses, slows your pace, and encourages presence. Without the distraction of overspending, you notice details, savor flavors, and witness the subtle beauty of everyday life. By the end of the journey, it became clear, traveling cheap isn't about cutting corners, it's about discovering a richer, fuller way of experiencing the world. By the time I reached the end of my $100 challenge, one thing became crystal clear. $100 isn't just money, it's freedom. It's a key that unlocks experiences, perspectives, and connections that, honestly, are impossible to measure in dollars. Traveling on a tight budget, it forces you to think creatively, prioritize meaning over convenience, and honestly, immerse yourself in the culture rather than just observing it. With limited funds, every choice becomes intentional. You decide where to eat, where to stay, and how to move based on curiosity and adventure rather than, impulse. You interact with locals, explore hidden corners, and discover the kind of moments most tourists totally miss. Every dollar stretches farther, not because the world is cheap, but because you start noticing value in experiences that money can't buy, like laughter, connection, nature, and those small acts of kindness. The biggest revelation? Budget travel teaches you that happiness, fulfillment, and adventure aren't tied to wealth. They're tied to perspective. Living intentionally with less shows that the world is full of richness when you slow down, pay attention, and just embrace the unexpected. In a way, having less money actually opens the door to more life. So $100 isn't a limitation. It's an invitation to freedom, curiosity, and discovery. It's proof that adventure doesn't require a big budget. It requires an open mind, a willingness to explore, and a readiness to experience life fully. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to King Lady channel for more adventures, mind-bending insights, and life-changing travel experiments. And remember, the world is full of experiences waiting for you. Sometimes all it takes is $100 and the courage to step outside your comfort zone.